So after a unanimous decision victory over Nasrat Haqparast, 2 weeks later we've got Bobby Green taking on Islam Makhachev, stepping in for Benny Dariush as a replacement at the last minute. Real gangster move by Bobby Green, real awesome way that he's taking advantage of an opportunity, getting himself into a main event. And I thought, let's give the guy a little bit of shine, a little bit of rub, and let's look at 3 of the veteran moves of Bobby Green that hopefully you can try and implement in against Islam over the weekend and try to get that big upset victory. Now, I'll say it up front in this video, I think Bobby loses this fight. I think Islam is going to be too much. I think he's going to get him down. I think he's going to submit him. But I love an underdog story. I love a hero story like this. So I think Bobby Green, if nothing else, he definitely deserves to get his wheels shined and he deserves to have people talking about him. And this seems like a great opportunity for us to do so. Bobby Green often gets described as a crafty veteran, and I've always really liked that moniker to be given to people. I think a lot of people, especially fighters, I know a lot of fighters who don't like being described as a veteran because it's basically telling you that you're old, and fighters don't like to be discussed as being old. But I think what it really means in terms of how people are trying to compliment you is that you're long in the tooth, that you've been doing it so long that certain things are just ingrained in you, and it's going to take more than just simple raw power or blistering speed to beat you. People are going to have to really know what they're doing to get around you. And by becoming a crafty veteran, it means you start having a few tricks in your bags that consistently work for you on a long-term basis. So we're going to go through 3 of these for Bobby Green, and hopefully, like I said, he can implement these over the weekend. Number 1 has to be his ability to hit and slip, or to slip and hit. One of the signature moves for Bobby Green is his amazing head movement. He really understands how to evade punches by slipping, bopping, and weaving. But more importantly than this, he understands the importance of combining it with his punches, whether this be to throw punches and then get himself out of the way, or to get himself out of the way and then throw punches. If you go to a boxing or kickboxing gym, you'll often hear a term getting thrown around saying, don't hang around to admire your work. And what this is in reference to is, let's say that you're a beginner and you're learning some punch combinations. We'll keep it simple. It's a jab cross. You're learning how to throw that, and that's the sequence of events, right? So guard up, ready to go, 1, 2, reset, go again, 1, 2. And you ingrain in this pattern of the combination finishes after you've thrown your punches. Now, the problem that happens for beginners when they start getting into sparring is this translates to, I throw my combination and then I finish, reset. What it doesn't take into account for is your opponent's probably not going to like that you just tried to punch them in the face, and they're going to try to punch you back. And here's where people get into trouble. They hang around and they admire their work. Maybe you hit them with both punches clean. Bam, bam, hit them 1, 2, but then you hang around and then you get countered. And then suddenly you're on the back foot and you're on the receiving end of the shots. Bobby Green has a fantastic ability to hit you and then move. He hits and he slips. He hits and he rolls. He hits and he steps back with his footwork. He makes sure that he's not there to get caught with the counter after he struck you. Now, as much as you'll hear that saying in the gym, the idea of not hanging around to admire your work, one you'll hear even more often is make them miss, then make them pay. And this is effectively taking what we just spoke about and flipping it on its head. In this instance, you're letting your opponent initiate, you're making them miss via head movement, via rolls, via footwork, and importantly, after you've made them miss, you're making them pay by throwing something in response. Effectively, this is counter-fighting, the idea of your opponent initiates the attack, you deal with their attack, and whilst dealing with their attack, you take advantage of the openings. Bobby Green does a great job of slipping punches and throwing his own, stepping back and shooting a hook, sliding his head off the line and throwing a cross, ducking his head underneath, attacking the body, and then coming back upstairs to hit to the head. He'll make you miss, but he'll make you pay. Now, a big part of what makes Bobby so effective, both at the head movement and this ability to hit people after they miss, is his low hand position. So we're going to go into part number 2 today, and that is the low guard. Now, if you've been a subscriber to this channel for a while, or you know me personally, you know that I'm an advocate for the low guard, and I think Bobby Green is one of the great examples of how to implement it. Bobby's defensive abilities focus more on head movement, shoulder rolls, and evasive footwork and movement. He doesn't rely too heavily on his actual guard, as in bringing his hands up to his face in order to defend punches. Now, there's always an argument for if that's a good idea or not. Now, obviously, if someone's trying to kick you in your head, it's probably a good idea to get your arm in the way rather than eat the shot. However, when it comes to a boxing exchange, which is often what Bobby tries to initiate with his opponents, you don't have the large gloves that you would get in a boxing match or a Muay Thai match, kickboxing match. And a big part of the defense in those sports is the ability to use that large glove to block and defend. It covers a lot more surface area, and it makes it a lot more difficult for the opponent's large glove to slip through. Now, when you've got these small 4-ounce MMA gloves, it's a lot easier to get in and around the guard. And a lot of people, they come in with a very boxing mindset, hands high, covering up, but punches still slip through. The jab slips through the middle and splits the guard. The hook comes round over the top and clips onto the temple or onto the chin. So the ability to move your head and defend and focus your defense in that way means you're not so reliant on getting that pinpoint accuracy with your guard and your hand up defense. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is the way you should be fighting in MMA if you're a striker. Bobby Green has got himself in trouble on multiple occasions where this low guard hasn't worked out and he's been clipped and he's been taken down. I will say that looking at his record, he doesn't have many knockout finishes for himself, as in he doesn't very often get knocked out and finished. He loses quite a few decisions when he loses, and he's got a few submission defeats as well. But he's not getting badly clipped on the chin or on the head on multiple occasions as a result of having the hands down low. Now, I know what you're saying, why don't you just have the hands up anyway? What's the difference, right? You can still move your head, but you've got that added layer of defense of having the hands up. The analogy I like to give people is, if you're trying to get people to come to your restaurant, you'll make sure that you've got the lights on. You'll make sure that you've got the open sign lit up. You'll make sure that you've got the doors open. It looks inviting, it makes people want to come into your restaurant. Now, if you had the lights off, if the open sign wasn't on, if the door was left shut, people might not believe that there's actually somewhere to go. There's not a place to be there. Now, how this translates into the fight is, if you want your opponent to focus their punches to a particular area, you need to give them some form of belief that the target is available, that it's there. So by having the low guard, what you're effectively telling your opponent is, my head is available. Come and aim for my head. And if you watch Bobby Green's fights, many of his opponents headhunt. They focus on what looks like a very clear and obvious target to approach, which is the head. Go on, punch me in the head. My hands are down. Why not? The thing is Bobby's aware of this, and Bobby then has the antidote to it, which is that big focus and that switched on approach to head movement, shoulder rolls, and defense. He's not getting hit in the head. And by having those hands down low, it means that his punches are coming from awkward angles that his opponents are often not seeing. Not only is their attention with their punches drawn to the head, but so is their vision. They're looking at where they're aiming, right? So they're looking up at Bobby's head, and in looking up at Bobby's head, they're not seeing the punch that's coming up from down below, at least not till it's too late. And this is often why his countering game is so strong. He'll step back, he'll evade the shot to the head, and out of nowhere, boom, this punch will come up from the hip and clip onto the chin. You'll also, of course, we're talking about all these adages you'll hear in striking gyms. Another one you'll hear is that it's the shot you don't see that hurts you the most. So these little shots, although Bobby might not be hitting you super hard, where you don't see it coming and you're a bit too relaxed, it'll rock that chin or it'll rock your temple, and there's a good chance that it will turn your lights out. All right, that's enough harping on about the low guard for one day. Let's get to point number 3, and that is annoying leg kicks and takedown attempts. Now, Bobby Green, if you ask me, he's a boxer with really good defensive wrestling. In terms of his approach to winning fights, generally speaking, is he's going to high volume box you, he's going to wear you down over the 3 or 5 rounds, and if he needs to, he's going to defend your attempts to try to take the fight to the ground. Now, this is not to say that he doesn't have the ability to kick or to grapple. He's shown that he has. But what it is saying is this is plan A for Bobby Green. Now, part of plan A is a few tools that he uses to both annoy and distract his opponent. And these are leg kicks and takedown attempts. Bobby Green is not a kicker by any means. Now, he can kick, I've seen him throw them, but generally speaking, his game isn't revolving around kicking. What he does do though is he peppers out leg kicks, outside thigh, inside thigh, side kick to the knee, stomping in with the leg kicks. He will constantly feed them, but it really is intended as a distraction to draw his opponent's attention down, to draw their guard and focus down towards the legs, to start opening up the ability to throw the hands. It also helps him to be very defensively capable, because if you start throwing body kicks and head kicks, that's where you start becoming vulnerable to takedowns in MMA. There's a good chance that your leg gets caught. Some really good examples are early fights of Bobby Green, where he throws a lot more body kicks. So if you go watch his fight with James Krause or Josh Thompson, you'll see where he's throwing body kicks and it's getting him in trouble. Although the Josh Thompson fight, I think he hits him with 3 groin shots and eventually the fight gets finished. So probably not the best example. But the James Krause one, that's a good fight to go watch to see how dangerous it can be if your kicking game isn't super on point, that if you're just throwing body kicks for the sake of it, it can end up getting you in more trouble than you need to be. Now, the other thing is Bobby's wrestling game. Bobby's actually a really established and capable wrestler, but he doesn't focus on using his wrestling to get the fight to the ground. But what he will do is occasionally, out of nowhere, he'll throw in a takedown attempt. More often than not, they don't get finished. But what he's really doing is he's just trying to introduce that idea into his opponent's mind. He's trying to get them to worry about and think about the takedown to again draw their attention away from plan A. Boxing your head off. Leg kicks, takedown attempts, all of these really are just ways of shifting focus for the opponent so that he can keep his focus on plan A, which is working the hands. Again, a really crafty veteran move. You've got your main plan, but you've got these tools you can use to help supplement it and round out your game. So there we have it, guys. There is Bobby Green's 3 crafty veteran moves. Best of luck to him at the weekend against Islam. I'll certainly be watching. Comment down below who you think will win. Comment down below some other crafty veterans that you enjoy watching fight. Leave a like on this video if you wouldn't mind. Just hit that button. It really helps it reach more people. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, and I will see you on the next one.